Hi everyone, so today's read aloud is very exciting because we will be reading another one of our favorite chapter books, and that is Mercy Watson. So we are going to take a little break for Molly Mac and go ahead and get started with Mercy Watson, Something Wonky Comes This Way. We know that Mercy really loves butter on her toast. And here we see her running through some popcorn and some sodas are in the air now. And these people in their cars look a little confused. So let's go ahead and get started to see what Mercy gets herself into. So we have chapter 1. Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson have a pig named Mercy. Mr. Watson, Mrs. Watson, and Mercy lived together in the house at 54 Deckerwood Drive. One Saturday afternoon, Mr. Watson said to Mrs. Watson, "My darling, my dear, there's a movie at the Bijou called When Pigs Fly." And as Mr. Watson is sharing with Mrs. Watson, we see Mercy. She is asleep. "When Pigs Fly," said Mrs. Watson. "What an inspiring title, Mercy. Did you hear?" Mercy did not hear. Mercy did not hear because Mercy was not listening. "It says here that the Bijou proudly serves real butter," said Mr. Watson. "Oh my," said Mrs. Watson. "Real butter?" Mercy pricked up her ears. She was listening now. Mercy loved butter. So she's not asleep anymore. She's wide awake and her ears are open because she heard butter. She particularly loved butter on hot toast, but she would take butter any way she could get it. "Yes," said Mr. Watson, "it says here that the Bijou proudly serves real butter on every bottomless bucket of popcorn." "Bottomless," said Mrs. Watson. "Bottomless," said Mr. Watson, "which means all you can eat." "All you can eat," said Mrs. Watson. "What a delightful concept." Mercy thought that all you can eat was a very delightful concept. "Let's go to the movie," said Mr. Watson. "Let's," said Mrs. Watson. "Oink," said Mercy. And we will continue with chapter 2. So here we see them in their car ready to head out to the movies. "Where are you going?" said Baby Lincoln. "We're off to the movies," said Mr. Watson. "Oh," said Baby, "what movie are you going to see?" "It's a movie called When Pigs Fly," said Mr. Watson. "Is it a romance?" said Baby. "Is it a movie about love?" "Well," said Mrs. Watson, "I think it is basically a movie about pigs flying." "Don't be ridiculous," said Eugenia Lincoln. "Pigs don't fly. It's just a figure of speech." "What's a figure of speech?" said Mr. Watson. "The movie title," said Eugenia. "It's a figure of speech signifying the impossible." "Well," said Mrs. Watson, "we are going to be impossibly late if we don't get going. Would you care to join us?" said Mr. Watson. "Yes," said Baby Lincoln. "Absolutely not," said Eugenia Lincoln. "Oh, sister," said Baby, "please say yes." "No," said Eugenia. But she got into the Watsons' convertible anyway. So now we have Mr. Watson, Mrs. Watson, Mercy, Baby Lincoln, and Eugenia Lincoln all heading to the movie. So we have 5 people so far wanting to go see When Pigs Fly. And here they are all in their convertible. "Where are you going?" shouted Stella. "We're off to the movie," said Mr. Watson. "What kind of movie are you going to see?" said Frank. "It's a romance," said Baby. "It will be inspirational," said Mrs. Watson. It's a figure of speech, shouted Eugenia. And we see Eugenia, she is not too happy about this movie When Pigs Fly. Is it a movie with a happy ending? Said Frank. Oh, it must end happily, said Mrs. Watson. Can we come too? Said Stella. The more the merrier, said Mr. Watson. So we had 5 people at the beginning of this chapter, and now we have Stella and Frank joining, so we have 2 more. So now we have a total of 7 people going to the movies. And here we have chapter 3. So we'll go ahead and pause here, and we will continue with chapter 3 next time. But something that we can do is we can just take a sneak peek to see what will happen. So on this page we see the movie theater, and it's a drive-in movie theater. So that means that people drive in their cars and they park, and then they get to see the movie on this big screen. So we see some other people are there already. We have other people as well driving up. And if we take a sneak peek also into chapter 4, looking way ahead, we see Leroy Ninker. And if you remember, Leroy Ninker was that cowboy who was robbing the Watsons in one of our other chapter books that we did read. So far it seems like this movie is going to be pretty popular. When Pigs Fly, I know that it's a movie that I would see. What about you? Is it a movie that you would want to go see? So you can go ahead and answer the question down below if you want, or you can answer it in your head, but that will be for all for today. This was Mercy Watson. Something wonky comes this way. Bye.